Welcome back to episode 2 of Adultish Advice. I'm Julie.
And I'm Marissa.
And this episode, we're going to talk about love and relationships and dating and all of that stuff in between. I'm super excited to talk about this topic because it's my favorite topic in the whole world because I love love.
Who doesn't love love?
A lot of people don't love love, but I love love. And we said in the last episode, Marissa's been with her boyfriend for 7 years. 7 years?
9.
Oh my God.
You made me forget.
Where did
You
I get
made me
7
forget.
from?
Okay. Oh, because I've lived here for 7 years. I'm in Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah.
9 years. And I've been with my boyfriend, the engineer of this podcast, for 7 months. Maybe that's where I'm getting 7 from.
Okay, yeah. Alex is the MVP.
He is the MVP. Yeah, so let's get into it.
First of all, happy almost Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah, this is our Valentine's Day episode.
Was also the inspiration for the podcast.
Love?
But a perfect...
Oh, for the episode.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, not for the podcast. Adultishadvice advice. We just want to love. No, it's for this second episode. And if you haven't heard the first episode, we kind of went into a little bit of our background. Ran out of time, so we'll probably have to do another deeper dive into other aspects of our life because we're so interesting, and I know people just like want to listen to that.
Sure that's all you guys care about.
So let's go ahead and start. We talked a little bit about how Jake and I met and stuff, and I'll repeat that again. But why don't we start with you and Alex because we didn't talk about that too much in detail. So How did you meet? How long has he been in Nashville?
Alex has been in Nashville for 5 years. 5 years. Oh, God. Actually, our story is really sweet, and I don't know if he wants me to tell the whole story, but I'm going to tell it anyway because I did make a vow to myself that I'm not going to hold anything back on this podcast, but I might change names and stuff like that, but you'll all know who you are. So I moved to Nashville. I was in a relationship when I moved to Nashville of 2 years. I think I brushed on this, maybe. Yeah, my relationship was almost 2 years. So it was like a year and a half. And when I decided I was going to move to Nashville, we talked about him possibly coming with me. And deep down inside, not even that deep, I didn't want him to come. I knew I didn't want him to come because I had gotten into a relationship with him only about 6 months after ending a 2.5-year relationship. Yeah. So, and it was kind of just like I just have to be with someone who's nice to me and like good to me because I was in like a turmoil of a relationship before that. But after the initial like dating honeymoon phase wears off, I was just kind of like, this isn't for me, but he's so nice and everyone loves him and everyone will be mad at me and I don't know what I'm doing. And it was just a weird place in my life. So when I decided to move to Nashville, it was kind of a really like fast decision where I was just like, I have to leave and I have to like do something and change my life because I'm so unhappy. And so
I moved in New York, right?
Yeah. And I just wasn't happy with anything going on, but I wasn't admitting that to myself. So I moved to Nashville without him.
Did you have a job here that you were like, oh, it's for this job?
No.
You just were like, I
had
to
nothing.
Leave the city.
I literally packed up my car with Tula and just went. Never saw my apartment. Didn't know what I was doing. Like, the only time I had been in Nashville before was when I stayed with Cassandra. Mm-hmm. So that was it. I really didn't know much about Nashville. I knew Broadway and
you just knew her, right? Cassandra was the only person you knew here.
Yeah. And like I wasn't even like close with her at the time. It's just like someone I knew, but
why Nashville? Why did you choose?
I don't know. There was just something that was like calling me to it. I don't know. I know that sounds corny, but there was something that was just like I need to leave the East Coast, and I don't know. I mean, first off, I would never go to LA. Like, I would never do that.
So you were like, okay, the next logical place,
Nashville. Yeah. So I moved to Nashville. Another part why I didn't want him to come was he came from like a very Christian family, and they were like, well, if you go to Nashville with her, we want you to be engaged. And I was like, that's not fucking happening. Like, no fucking
You're
way.
Like, I'm sorry, do I get to say in this?
No fucking way. I knew I didn't want it. Like, when you're with someone and the thought of them, like, proposing to you makes you want to, like, crawl into your body and die, like, that's a surefire sign that you shouldn't be with them.
See, these are the advice pieces that everyone needs.
Yeah, so I moved
if
here.
If you want to throw up as they want to propose to you, maybe get out.
And I feel kind of bad saying this, but I also don't because I mean, we can get into that later.
Well,
but
you weren't right for each other.
Yeah.
It sounds like.
So I moved to Nashville and I went to grad school. And before grad school, I got an email from my professor and it had all of these people like CC'd on it, like all the kids that were going to be in the class.
Yeah.
And of course I was like, I'm going to look these people up. I want to see.
Yeah.
No one had an Instagram. No one had Facebook except for Alex. So I knew that he was going to be in my class. Actually, Alex and Grace, my two closest friends, which is so funny. And I knew he was going to be in my class, but I wasn't going to like follow him and be like, hey, we're in the same class. So the first week of classes, I knew he wasn't there. And I was like, what? Maybe that kid, maybe it wasn't.
Maybe he dropped out.
Yeah, whatever. And then the second week, he was there. And I walked into class and he was like on a computer chair and he's probably cringing from the next room. He rolled up to me immediately and he's like, hey, where'd you get that textbook? I was like,
the best pickup line.
I was like, online?
Men, take note. I love
And
it.
then he was like talking to me and Grace and he was like, oh, I'm throwing a party next week because my girlfriend's moving out. Like we broke up. And I was like, this kid's such a douche.
Also, this totally sounds just like him.
I know. It's so
Your
funny.
voice.
So, yeah, that's him. So we went to his party because I didn't know anyone. And I was like, should I go? Like, should I not? Like, it's so nerve-wracking meeting new friends, especially like in your 20s. Like, you don't make friends. But we went and everyone in the party went up to the roof and Alex and I stayed in his kitchen and we just like had a heart-to-heart about everything. And he developed a big crush on me. And then like for a year, it was just kind of, we were just friends. He was my best friend here. And we knew everything about each other. And I was still with my ex. And when I moved to this apartment, it got more like apparent that I had feelings for him too, which it was crazy to me because I was like, do I like Alex?
And if you're in a relationship, it's hard to even think about that, right? So I'm sure like you enjoyed being with him all the time and hanging out, but it's like you're with somebody. It's hard to be like, oh my gosh.
And then we wrote a song together. He came over one night and I was like, let's just, I've never written a song with anyone or done anything like that. So I was like, yeah, come over. Like we sat right on this couch and we wrote Lemon Soap and
Lemon Soap.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
And I think like from there, I was just like, okay, I have to get out of my relationship. Like this person that I'm like more excited to talk to this person than who I'm with.
Yeah.
And it got really hard. Like, for I think Alex and for me, because we clearly had such strong feelings for each other, but it was like can't do anything, right?
Yeah.
So breaking up with anyone is hard, even if you're not happy. It's just like I don't want to hurt this person that I've been with for so long, but like I'm so not in it anymore, and this is horrible. He came down here to drive back to Jersey with me, which I didn't ask him to do.
Oh, it was a surprise?
He was just like, I bought a ticket, I'm coming, and I'm like, dude. I didn't ask you to do that. Like, shit like that would always bother me. But he came here. I was at work, and he was like, I'm here. I'm in your apartment. And I was like, cool, can't wait to see you. But in my head, my stomach, I was like, I'm dreading this. So I came home, and I didn't want to hug him. Like, I didn't want to kiss him. Like, I was just like, I don't want to do this. We went to get food, and he was like, what's wrong? And I was like, nothing. Everything's fine. Whatever. And when we got back to my apartment, he's like, I know something's wrong. And I was just like, I'm not happy. I don't want to be with you. Like, I just don't. Like, and it just came out of me, like word vomit. But yeah, and we had to drive 13 hours back home.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
no, you still did the drive?
Yeah, it was brutal. I like took melatonin when I wasn't driving because I was like, I just don't even, this is so uncomfortable. It was so uncomfortable. And when I got back to Nashville, when I flew in, Alex had gotten into my apartment, which my landlord let him in. I was like, wait,
Could have been a serial killer.
Yeah. And he had put lemons everywhere because lemon soap. And he had put a constellation of glow-in-the-dark stars on my ceiling. Yeah.
I love those.
A constellation of my dog who passed away. We bought her a star, and he put the whole constellation up there. And yeah. Oh, and he wrote me an album. So I left that part out. Yeah,
okay.
He wrote me an album. But yeah.
I mean, the stars are cute, but
Yeah, he also wrote me an album. But yeah,
crazy.
it's been like the honeymoon phase, I know this is so corny and gross. The honeymoon phase is never worn off. Like, it's
Oh,
just still, like, I'm just so excited to see him all the time.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What was because you got a little, like, pre-social stalking, what was your first impression when you, like, saw his online
He had a
stuff?
man bun, so I was like, oh,
What?
God, dude, I know.
No, I didn't know this.
But
That's
his Instagram was all him playing music, so I was like, cool. Like, I love musicians. Obviously, I've always loved music. Like, it's my heart and soul. So I was like excited to meet him. And the weird thing is dating somebody that you were best friends with for a year is like, I know every little secret about him. And I've seen him date girls like through the year. And I'm just like, I know how you treat people. But like, he's never like been that way. And it's funny because like when you do meet the right person, you change. Like, I don't want to say change, but like you stop acting the way you like. I could never imagine. I don't know. I don't even have the words because it's just like you're with the right person. There's like, I don't know.
It just falls into place the way you work.
Yeah.
What about, because you have a unique situation, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who have crushes on some of their best friends and guys and girls that are friends. Do you have any advice, or like what would you recommend, or anything that you take away from being friends first and then making that transition to more romantic?
Well, it helped because he liked me, so that was the easy part.
Confirm that they like you.
On his side, I know it like sucked because at first I didn't like him. I didn't have those feelings, but hey, he like was just kept trying. Like, he never gave up. Like, you know what I mean? Because I think he knew too that it was like we were supposed to be together. And of course, there were nights where we were out and we were drunk, and I made comments. Like, I will never forget. We were at Two Bits, and I met him and his friends for trivia, and he was there with a girl that he liked at the time, and I didn't care because I had a boyfriend, and Grace and I were like, we're gonna stay and drink and stuff, and he sent the girl on her way and like stayed. And I was like, good. She left, and he was like, yeah, it's fine. And I was like, okay. And I was pretty drunk, and I remember looking at him, and I was like, we'd be so good together. And he was like, don't say those things to me. And I was like, oh God, Alex is so rude. But it was just like, don't say those things to me. You have a boyfriend, like, you know what I mean? But there was always something in my heart that knew. So I guess like the biggest piece of advice, because I was in a relationship, besides like don't cheat on your significant other, is if you know it's not right, no matter how hard it is, like the weight of the world will be off your shoulders when you do. And I mean, of course, I can go for anything besides love, but like when your gut is telling you something, like you have to listen to it. Yeah. You have to, which sucks, but
because there's no alternative. It's the same thing we talked about, like the job situation. Like quitting a job can be tough. Leaving a relationship, but it's going to be better for the long run. If you're not happy, you're not going to be a good spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, employee. Yeah, because looking at it, I was like, well, what am I going to do? Just be unhappy for the rest of my life because I'm too afraid to break up with this person? Like, I don't want to kiss this person. That's not a plan B. Yeah, and that's not, fair to him and not to you. Yeah. We get one life. You should find the person that makes you happy and the person that gets you excited. Yeah. And you shouldn't have to apologize for it. It's just so hard. And I feel lucky, and I feel like you probably feel the same way, where like I know so many of my friends like still haven't found that. And like it's not like it took me a while, and I've dated a lot of people like before I realized like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. Yeah. Because there have been people where I'm like, I'm in love with this person, but now looking back, I'm like, oh, I wasn't. But you didn't know. You don't know. You didn't know until you don't know. It's the same thing with anything, though. It's like, oh, I'm happy. This is cool. I'm happy doing this. And then, like, you move on from it. And you're like, I wasn't fucking happy. Yeah. Like, yeah.